Audacious
The
rebel.
biggest battle is self. We have to overcome self and the things we tell ourselves. So growing up poor, when I finally got a hold of money, I bought cars, I bought clothes, I could go to the bar and buy the bar out for the night. Those different things that we think make us who we are. Those things didn't make me who I was. So I often tell people from the day I was born, I was called to be a winner. My name is Victor. But on this journey, on this path, I didn't like the name Victor because I was upset with my father, who I was named after. So I told people to call me Vic. And then people calling me Vic, I developed something. I developed a victim's mentality. So I went from Victor to Vic to victim, all because how I see myself. No one has ever told me I was a victim. I told myself I was a victim. Find a different way. Sometimes we put ourselves in boxes, or we limit ourselves because we feel like college is for that 18-year-old coming out of high school, right? So when I enrolled, being tired, I told my children I enrolled. So my children were my first influence. And they would come home every day. Dad, you got homework? And we would sit down and do homework together. See, when I talk about breaking up with them images, if I would have been trying to please the streets or some chick, right, out in the streets, out there in the world, who didn't have my best interests at heart, I wouldn't have made it. But those who cared for me and loved me authentically, there were 3 little people. They were excited when Dad had homework because they had homework too, right? So we got to stop looking for perfection, and we got to start looking for progress. And a lot of us make progress every day, but we're so busy looking for the perfect moment, the perfect, that we miss that we have taken steps forward. And because we're not looking at the steps we've taken steps forward, looking at the fact that we've taken steps forward, we set ourselves back.
Audacious rebel.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the distinct honor of welcoming a guest whose life story epitomizes resilience, transformation, and the boundless potential of the human spirit. Dr. Victor J. Coleman Jr., affectionately known as Dr. V, hails from Toledo, Ohio, where he faced the formidable challenges of poverty and adversity from a very young age. Despite early struggles, including encounters with the legal system, Dr. V's journey is a testament to the power of self belief and determination. Inspired by his children, Dr. V embarked on an academic journey that led him to earn a Bachelor of Science in Entertainment Business in 2010, a master's in the same field in 2013, and ultimately a PhD in Business Management with a specialization in leadership in 2019. His doctoral research delved into the transformative potential of mentorship, particularly in cross ethnic relationships, underscoring his commitment to fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion. In 2010, Dr. V founded the V.J. Coleman Jr. Flight School, a program dedicated to helping at risk youth realize their potential through mentorship and personal development. His work has been instrumental in guiding countless individuals from challenging backgrounds towards brighter futures. Beyond his academic initiatives, Dr. V is a sought after motivational speaker known for his engaging keynote presentations that inspired growth and excellence. His messages resonate deeply, encouraging audience to overcome obstacles and embrace their authentic purpose. Dr. V's philosophy, encapsulated in his mantra, exposure is transformational, emphasizes the profound impact that new experiences and perspectives can have on personal growth. Through his coaching, consulting, and mentoring, he has become a catalyst for success, empowering individuals to unlock their full potential and lead extraordinary lives. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Victor J. Coleman Jr., a true embodiment of the audacious rebel spirit who continues to inspire and transform lives through his unwavering dedication to empowerment and education. Dr. V, welcome.
Blessings. Thank you for having me. Thank you. And then hello to the audience.
You know, society often tells us that where we start is where we will end, that our past defines our future, But here on the path of the audacious rebel, we challenge that belief because transformation is real. No one embodies that truth more than you. Tell us,
Absolutely.
before you became an academic, a mentor, and a speaker, you were on a path that many don't escape, a path of destruction, a life that stood in direct opposition to the law, but something changed, something clicked. Can you take us back to that chapter of your life? What was the breaking point? The moment you knew that this path has to end? Was there a defining moment, a rock bottom experience? What was it that led to your transformation?
I often tell people, when you get tired, right? When we get tired, I don't care what it is in our lives, that's when we'll change whatever it is, right? And I got to a place where I was tired. I was tired of being arrested. I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I was tired of feeling like a failure in front of my children. Even though my children saw me as a superhero, they didn't call me a failure. They didn't know my struggles, right? But I knew my struggle and I was tired. So when I arrived at this place where I was tired, I said, you know what? I got to try something different. If I want something different, I have to do something different. Hustling in the streets, working 2 and 3 jobs, those different things that I was trying to do to try. And I worked the jobs so people wouldn't know I sold drugs, right? Um, so that tells you right there, right? I knew it wasn't a place I was supposed to be, but I knew the money was good. So I wanted the money. I had to go on this path and this journey of dealing with what led me to that place, dealing with some insecurities, dealing with some childhood traumas. And that wasn't a one and done thing. That was a journey over that whole period. But what led me back to school, what really put me on that path was my children. And I challenge men, as well as women, but challenge men to look at your children to find that authentic space where you truly belong. We do a lot of things and we say I'll die for my children. I won't die for my children, but I will live for them. I will live for them. And that means something totally different. So I got tired and I decided I was ready to live for my children.
Tell us something, before you got to that transformational point. What led you to the life that you lived before?
Access. Access. Well, so if I go back to my first arrest in the first grade, I my behavior was always for attention. It was always I did stuff for attention. I did stuff for laughs. I did stuff to get my father's attention. I did stuff to get my mother's attention. Because they were busy working. They were busy providing. They were busy, right? And I wanted attention. So I went out and found ways to get attention. The streets would show me attention, right? Gangs will show you attention. The drug dealer will show you attention, right? Whoever you go, whatever you go seeking, they'll show you the attention. But is it the right attention? And because I was so hungry for something, it's like a meal. You can eat a meal that is full of nourishment for your body, or you can eat junk food. I went after the junk food. There were people around that would have given me positive attention, but that negative attention, that junk food, just seemed more appetizing.
You identify that when you had enough was when you began your transformation from one path to the next. Do you think, though, that this is something innate, that tenacity, that capacity, that strength and willpower? Do you think this is something innate? I mean, there are other people that may have been in similar situations as you, but lack that capacity, that tenacity to overcome. Do you think this is something innate or this is something that anybody can do?
I think it's something anybody can do, right? It may be harder for one person versus another, but I think we all have the ability to get tired, right? And when you get tired, what do? You rest. And if you truly rest wherever you are in your life, you get tired of that job, take a break. Look at that job and figure out a way out. Don't continue down that path if that job, and we're going to use a job, if that job is wearing on you, if it's taking you away from your family and that's where you really want to be, look for a position that aligns with what you say you want for your life. I say that to my children all the time. I hear them, my oldest boy, he says, Dad, this job pays more money. I said, but does it align with what you want for your life?
Mm.
Too often we're doing things that don't align with what we say we want for our lives. And then some people say, well, I got bills to pay. Send it all back. That was always my rule. I have a joke I tell people all the time, and I call it a joke because it was true, but it was funny to me. During that period when I was getting tired, I used to get stuff from Rent-A-Center all the time. I never liked to pay for stuff in full. So I would go to Rent-A-Center and now that you got the little, what is it, afterpay. So it was the afterpays of the old days. I would go to Rent-A-Center and I furnished my whole house in Rent-A-Center. One day I got tired. I loaded all that stuff up in my car and took it and dropped it off at Rent-A-Center's front door. And I remember the salesperson saying, no, 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 like we could come get it. No, I'm that tired. When you get that tired, send it back. Send that car back, right? Send that nonsense back and get your life back. So that's how I live my life. I don't have any car notes. I don't, and that don't mean I'm driving a Bentley. What it means is I choose to live a life that allows me to spend more of my time with my family than with a job.
You're talking about sick and tired of being sick and tired is something I heard Les Brown say. When he shared the analogy of the dog that was sitting on the nail and was groaning. And he asked, why doesn't the dog move? And his buddy said, well, it's not hurting him enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess when it hurts enough, then you got to do something.
You
You
have to.
know, when you look at transformation, though, there's usually resistance, whether from within or from society. What were the biggest internal and external battles you had to overcome to step into your power?
The biggest battle is self. We have to overcome self and the things we tell ourselves. So growing up poor, when I finally got a hold of money, I bought cars, I bought clothes, I could go to the bar and buy the bar out for the night, those different things that we think make us who we are. Those things didn't make me who I was. So I often tell people from the day I was born, I was called to be a winner. My name is Victor. But
Right.
on this journey, on this path, I didn't like the name Victor because I was upset with my father, who I was named after. So I told people to call me Vic. And then people calling me Vic, I developed something. I developed a victim's mentality. So I went from Victor to Vic to victim,
Mm.
all because how I see myself. No one has ever told me I was a victim. I told myself I was a victim. So if we can change the way we see ourselves, if we change the way we see ourselves, that changes the outcome on everything.
Right.
Our relationships, our jobs, our future. It changes everything. So when I started seeing myself as Victor, I started to walk differently. I started to talk differently. I started to hang in different places. I started to network with different people. I started to go after resources that I knew I was worthy of, and I knew that my family could benefit from. So when
Right.
you talk about that transformation, the transformation came from the inside. I'll also tell you on that journey, I literally lived in this house, had no furniture in it. Because remember, I broke up with that mentality of I had to have everything right now. My bathroom, I would walk in my bathroom and look in the mirror and say, your life's not going to change until you do. Your
Right.
life's not going to change until you do. I literally said that to myself every day. I didn't believe it, man. I didn't believe my life was going to change. I'm going to be honest with you. But I was tired. I was tired of doing things. I was tired of business as usual. And something I did every morning, I wrote myself a positive message on a sticky note and I would stick it on the wall throughout the house. You know why? Because every day is not going to be a positive day. So I tried to capture the positive moments. So when I had a negative moment versus me running back to the streets to do something stupid, I could read those positive moments and it would show me I was on the right path.
Mm. So you think that sticky note thing was the first real action step you took after realizing you had to change? What many people want to change, but they don't know where to start. What was
I
the
tell
first real action step you took?
therapy, finding
Therapy.
someone, finding someone to talk to about where you are here. See, we only
Mm.
focus on talking to people about where we are in the physical, where we're moving about. But here is the real map. that will move you forward. If I'm stuck up in my mind, I can't go anywhere in life. And I was stuck here for so long, seeing myself as a victim of the life I was born into versus a victor overcoming the obstacles that were in front of me.
It's something you said therapy because my next question was to find out if there was some mentor or some unexpected source that helped shift your perspective during your transition.
Yeah. So therapy would when I get a lot of phone calls from parents, from individuals, and I say go to therapy, and they kind of shut down. I said no, I'm serious. Go to therapy. There's something here stopping you from moving forward. Therapy doesn't mean something is wrong with you. They just help you navigate the environment you're currently in. They help you reframe your thought process so you can see the world in a different way. Go to therapy. It's okay
No,
to go to therapy.
when you look at therapy, especially as it pertains to the African American, there's a kind of taboo where therapy is concerned. Not only that, if we come in from a place of disfranchisement and poverty, we don't have money for therapy. We thinking about food. We thinking about getting by. So if you identify or tell me therapy, and my first thought is trying to find some counselor, some psychologist, that's out of my mind. Clearly, that's going to be out of my mind. How
And
can go ahead?
no, go ahead. Go ahead. What's your question?
Because I'm trying to find out, that individual that will not have the resources to pay for professional therapy, what can they do? What choices do they have?
There are a number of community resources available. Now, it's going to vary from community to community to community, but there are a number of community resources available. There's a resource here locally called Fathers United, right? And it's an organization that helps fathers get back in the game, whether
Right.
it's fixing here, finding a job, getting their child support in order, right? There are a number of resources, and that organization doesn't charge you to help you get back on the right path. And guess who's a part of those organizations? There's therapists all around. There's coaches, there's mentors, there's counselors all around. So I would tell the individual that says, you know what, I don't have the money for therapy. I would challenge you to rethink it. I would challenge you to go out there and find the resource. I've learned this on this journey, on this path. If you want it, you'll go get it. The resources out there. There's free legal aid. There are a number of free resources available to help you get started. You just have to get out of your comfort zone. You just have to have enough pain. You just have to get tired enough to say, I'm going to find the resource.
Yeah, I think even though I initially didn't seek therapy, I read a lot, and a library card didn't cost much. So I
Come on.
actually used to live in the library, and I mean that's how I would have read like the Les Browns and whatnot. I knew all his stories even better than him, you know. Yeah, so that's how it started with me. You know, going from the streets to academia is a radical shift. What was the first challenging part of stepping into that new identity?
Um, the first challenge was getting over the fact that I was 28 years old, trying to go back to school and find a different way. Sometimes we put ourselves in boxes, or we limit ourselves because we feel like college is for that 18-year-old coming out of high school, right?
Right.
So when I enrolled, again tired, I told my children I enrolled. I told my children what my first day was, and they would come home every day. Dad, you got homework? And we would sit down and do homework together. See, when I talk about breaking up with them images, if I would have been trying to please the streets or some chick, right, out in the streets, out there in the world, who didn't have my best interests at heart, I wouldn't have made it. But those who cared for me and loved me authentically, there were three little people. They were excited when Dad had homework because they had homework too, right? So changing the way I see myself meant I had to go from seeing myself um, not only as from a victim to a victor, but I also had to see myself as a leader to my family.
Right.
And I had to lead my family by example. So my children have watched me and their mother. They have watched us get our higher education. We didn't hide it from them. So I was empowered by my children when it came to getting back in the flow of school. Now they would go to bed and I would stay up all night trying to figure out how to write a 2 or 5 page paper, but that was okay. And what did I do along that journey? I hired me some writing coaches, and I failed the second grade because I struggled with reading. So I had to play catch up. I was able to get through high school, right? And it was a young lady who was just in the media here not too long ago. Her mom is suing the school, I guess, school system because her daughter graduated but couldn't read. Right? I could read enough to get by, so I had to go get me some coaches to help get me back in the game.
And then that too was not your responsibility as a father and as a husband. That did not negate those responsibilities as well. So you were a student, a father, a husband, all at the same time, right?
Exactly. You know what I tell a lot of the brothers, the young men that I speak to. Um, it's cool being a player. Okay, you want to be a player, but I'm gonna tell you for real, if you really want to elevate in life, get you a good solid woman by your side, man, and you'll go anywhere. You'll go anywhere. You'll overcome any obstacle because they see the world from a different lens than we do.
Right.
You know, but if you choose to want to hang with the bros and that's your thing, man, my prayer is that you outgrow it because I'm telling you, it was women around me who seen more in me than I seen in myself, who added to what my children were already depositing.
Let me ask you this. Well, you were really, opposed to the law. You did a lot of unlawful things, and you would have had a family in that world as well. When you made that transition to this different sphere, how did they deal with you?
Believe it or not, I was supported. You have a few people that say stuff like, "Man, why would you go to school, man? You that but overall, I was supported. And I'm transparent. Even when I started out on the journey, man, my pockets were flat because I had to leave the streets. Right, I got to
Right.
really do this the right way. Um, so I was struggling financially, and I was trying to come back out into the streets. And one of my good friends who was still in the streets said, "No, don't come back out here, man. God got something for you. God got something for you. Don't come back here." And I remember one day I was broke, man, and he said, "Man, come through," and I slid through, and he slid me a couple of dollars, man, and just said, "Hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you, man." So I got love from the streets. I got support from the streets when I made the transformation.
Okay. You know, you hold a PhD today, but beyond the degree, what was the most valuable thing you learned through the academic journey?
The most valuable thing I learned is that I can do anything that I put my mind to. It may take me longer than someone else. It may uh, 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 the outcome may not look exactly how the picture was I painted in my mind, right? But I can do anything, literally anything I put my mind to. And going down that path, little by little, my confidence was built. I'll tell you about the PhD journey. When I enrolled, I tried to I tried to take the shortcut. I'll call it the shortcut. I tried to get a doctor of business administration because I wouldn't have to write a dissertation to graduate. See what I'm saying? I was trying to cut corners, but the spirit dealt with me. And the reason I was afraid was because I seen when I did my research on what was required to get a PhD, I was seeing 250-page papers. And you're talking about a guy who struggled to write 5 and 10 pages. But what I learned on that journey was there were milestones. Milestone 1, you might have did a paragraph. Milestone 3, you're in 20, 30 pages because you build on each paragraph. It's the
Right.
same thing in life. We got to stop looking at the final destination as something we can achieve and start chipping away at those milestones. And with each milestone, you get a step further ahead. And before you know it, I looked up and it was like, wow, I'm done. I did it.
That, kind of facilitate the quote where they said the journey of 1,000 miles
Starts
begin
with one
with
step.
one footstep.
Hmm.
I'm listening to you here, Dr. V, and reflecting, I'm yearning to find out about your formative years because I am seeing someone, in spite of what your experiences may have been, I'm seeing someone who seemed to have been entrenched in values. So I'm questioning all your formative years. What was it like in your formative years? Your mother, your father, what was that home environment like that helped shaped the mind that I'm seeing today?
So I come from a faith-based family. So um, family values were there, right? Obeying the law was there. Education was there. Watch my mother, man, for most of my life, go to school. It went from a certificate to an associate's to a bachelor's. Right. I watched my mom build herself up. She had 5 children and she didn't choose to go prostitute or sell drugs, right? I was choosing the streets because when she went to work or school, guess what was out in front of that at the front door? The neighborhood was raising, right? The older gentleman up the street who was, 10, 12 years older than me, instead of him telling me to do the right thing, he showed me how to do the wrong thing. See,
Right.
we truly got to get back to being a community. I was raised in a community in my younger years. Sister so and so from the church stayed across the street. Sister so and so and brother so and so around the corner stayed. They stayed around the corner. So there were certain individuals who were a part of the faith-based family that have helped plant seeds and guide us along the way, guide me along the way. So when you talk about those years, those formative years, I come from good stock. I come from good people. I've been surrounded by good people. The problem is my parents had to work to provide, and in their absence of working to provide, there was the neighborhood.
Yeah, that created an avenue for you. But of course, what was entrenched and then the community support also played an integral role in help shaping and keeping you in a particular alignment.
Absolutely.
For young men and women who feel disconnected from traditional education, how do you recommend they cultivate knowledge in a way that resonates with them?
YouTube University. Go. You have a cell phone. This device is in the palm of your hand. It is attached to the world. That means you can learn anything you want to learn. You have to make a choice to educate and empower yourself with that device. Or you can get on TikTok and you can just scroll. You can
Right,
get on Facebook and just scroll. You can get on Instagram and just scroll. The content you consume will build your character.
right.
So if you choose to consume the fights and all the drama content, it's gonna develop seeds or plant seeds in your heart and in your character. And if you're not careful, those seeds will grow.
As I say, energy flows where your attention goes.
Absolutely. You
Yeah, so
know.
whatever you
Um,
focus on, that's what's going to feed, that's what's going to grow, that's what's going to develop.
so a lot of people will tell you, my music in my car is different than it used to be. I still got, I don't get me wrong, I like a good hip hop track, but the words, I can't let those words be planted in my spirit another day, right?
Gotcha.
Um, every form of entertainment that I consume, I look for where's the positive, where's the negative. If the negative is more than the positive, I have to keep moving because you need both in life. It is just a reality. Both are going to always be present in life, but you have to make a choice to consume the positive things that will build the life you want to build. The reason I say YouTube University so much, I renovated our entire duplex, gutted it, new flooring, new cabinets, countertops, everything. I did everything myself, and I literally had my phone, and I was watching on YouTube how to lay herringbone tile, how to install the shower. I learned on YouTube, and this is somebody with a PhD. I didn't go to school for this. I went to
Right.
YouTube for it. So if you want to learn it, it's out there. And then the other resource you talked about, the library. Go to your local library. Go to your local library. Go to your local council meeting and ask one of the council people to be your mentor. Go. There are a number of resources available.
You know, in spite of it all, it takes some degree of discipline, focus and discipline.
Absolutely.
What role did discipline play in your transition from survival mode to success mode?
Discipline, if you don't have discipline, you're in trouble. I told one of my homeboys a few weeks ago, I said, a man who struggles to control his flesh, he doesn't have the discipline to control his flesh, will destroy himself. Discipline is everything. So you talk about my bachelor's degree, I did it in 21 months. Discipline. My PhD, I did it in 13 months. Discipline. My PhD, I did it in just over 5 years. Discipline. My goal was 5 years, and I went just a smidge over 5 years. Discipline. So if you don't want to discipline yourself to say no to your desires, a temporary no, because now I done got all that, right? If I want to go to the bar right now, I can. If I want to hang out at the club, I can. But all the stuff that I wanted to achieve, I've achieved it. There's some other things I'm working on, but I've achieved those things that I set out to do. And guess what? The same people who I left hanging where they was hanging are still there.
Yeah.
Most of them, right? If you really want change, discipline yourself to go after what it is you say you want. And I promise you this, unless they're dead or in jail, because life happens, those people who you step away from will still be where you left them at. They will.
And you did drop a key variable initially when you spoke about, just one step at a time. Even when I'm reading sometimes, you're always distracted by your phone. And sometimes even before I finish read a paragraph, I'm looking to pick my phone up. And I would just put that phone aside. It doesn't matter. It's on silent. I must accomplish a certain amount of chapters or pages before I even think about, the phone. So sometimes I think it might just be little things until you gain more and more, autonomy and control over your life.
You speak of that phone, and the phone is destroying us. It is. It is distracting us and destroying us. Like it just lit up. You see my eyes, it lit up and it pulled my attention. The phone, even on silent, it pulled my attention because it lit up. And I'm like, what just happened? Right?
Yeah,
Something
I
pulls
keep
your
mine
attention.
turned down. I keep mine turned down just for that
And,
because I
and I
don't even want to
usually
see.
keep it turned down, but
Yes.
it literally, that just shows you, even with it turned up right now, it grabs your attention. So I've learned when I want to read a book, I don't read the whole book, first of all. I'm going to read the
Right.
chapter, right? And I'm going to put my phone in the other room. So it's not within arm's reach of me sitting there saying, hey, let me see who texts me. Hey, let me see what that email is. Hey, let me, you know, create a structure or a system that will help you. It's going to be different for each one of us. I got a
Yes.
friend, she will get off the phone. She say, I got to focus. I'm going to go lock my phone in my bedroom.
And
Whatever
yes.
works for you.
Yes.
With that phone, it's a distraction. And it's preventing a lot of us from getting to where we say we desire to be.
Vic, today you are a mentor to many, but mentorship itself is complex. What do you believe makes an effective mentor?
Authenticity. So I sit on the board for Big Brothers Big Sisters here in my region. I just did a radio interview this morning promoting the organization, and that question came up. Authenticity. If the mentor is not authentic, if you are not authentic, you're not going to get the big bang. You're not going to get the most value. We need authenticity. Then you need trust. You have to trust your mentor, and your mentor needs to trust you in order for you both to open up and share information, because mentoring is a two-way relationship. If you go into a mentoring relationship expecting only for someone to pour into you, shame on you. That's a selfish way to look at the world. You have something you can offer that mentor as well, because typically or generally you see your mentor is older, so maybe you're better at technology. Can you help your mentor with technology? Can you give them some tips and tricks that have helped you with social media or whatever it may be? authenticity and trust. Without those two things, you have nothing. The next piece, you got to have good, clear communication. You got to have clear communication. You have to remove your biases. You have to understand what your biases are. And a lot of us don't understand. We all have biases. And if you understand your biases, it'll help you grow in your mentoring relationships.
If you could speak to your younger self, standing at the crossroads between destruction and transformation, what would you say to him?
Wow. What would I say to my younger self? Standing at the crossroad.
Yes.
Um, Run down that road there. Run, sprint, full sprint. Don't halfway do it. Get there. I would tell myself that uncharted road ahead that you're unsure about is it's gonna be okay. I think a lot of us um, we move out of fear, and because of fear, it prevents us from doing some of the things we know would benefit us in life, make our lives better. So I would tell the younger me sooner to stop operating in fear.
You've turned your pain into purpose. How do you help others do the same without getting stuck in the past or without reverting along that journey?
I remind them of the road ahead. I remind them of the promises of tomorrow. And even looking at the world today, a lot of people are uncertain. Oh my gosh, the government's this. Oh my gosh, the government, you see they're cutting this, they're cutting. You know what? The promises ahead. You are alive. You are well. And whatever you believe in, do you truly believe in it? I believe in God. My faith in God, my faith in tomorrow being a better day for the people is there, and I operate in that faith. Doesn't mean it's perfect. We got to stop looking for perfection, and we got to start looking for progress. And a lot of us make progress every day, but we're so busy looking for the perfect moment, the perfect that we miss that we have taken steps forward. And because we're not looking at the steps we've taken steps forward, looking at the fact that we've taken steps forward, we set ourselves back
Right.
mentally.
In a world where systemic barriers, as you just identified, are real, what advice do you have for individuals who feel like the odds are permanently stacked against them?
The only thing that is permanent are the thoughts you have for yourself if you choose not to break up with them. Here's what I learned. There's no room that I can't go into and create change. That's what I learned about myself. That means those rooms where uh, people would say we don't belong, I belong there. I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to be the only black or brown face in the room. And I'm going to shake a lot of hands, and I'm going to get the resources to come back and help my family and my community. We have to stop operating in fear that we don't belong, because guess what? You belong. You belong. But you have to tell yourself you belong. You have to get up, put on the clothes like you belong, and you have to walk into the room and operate like you belong. Networking is one of my favorite things to do. I'm an introvert, but I understand that the resources are on the other side of that introvertedness. So I put on my extrovert hat and I go into rooms all the time and I network with people who don't come from where I come from, who don't look like I look, who may not vote like I vote. But guess what? I'm still there having peaceful and respectful conversations to help move myself, my family, and my community forward.
On this journey, Dr. V, what you would have identified as probably your greatest challenge?
My greatest challenge, if I'm to be honest with you, so there's two great challenges that I'm gonna give you. The first is always self. When you've been beat up, when you've been put down, when you've seen violence since you were a young kid, you watched someone shot when you were 12, you just self. The next thing is I'm gonna say is your own people. Your own people are going to be your next greatest challenge because they won't support you. They won't. They won't see the vision for a better life for you. They won't, because they're on a path of self-destruction or disbelief that a better life is available for them. So if you can overcome yourself and you can overcome your people, the world is yours. Because I am greeted in rooms that I'm told won't accept me. I am greeted in rooms that I'm told are racist. I am greeted in rooms that I'm told uh, don't care about anyone who has less than $1 million. But I'm greeted. I'm invited to the table. I'm invited to the conversation. But who told me that I wasn't invited? My people. I've never been turned down from going into any room that I've desired to be in.
You know something? Just this weekend, a buddy and myself was having a conversation along that line, and I was telling him, the biggest challenges I get most of the time with my own people. The ones I'm trying to help are the ones that seem to be trying to stifle me the most. And we were just discussing as to why. Why do you think it is like that, though?
Self-hate. I see me and you, and I hate me. And until I deal with the hate that I have on the inside of my heart for me, how can I love you?
Understood. Understood.
You know what I'm saying? So just this past weekend, I went to a dinner, 600 people. Um, I think I do a count when I go in these rooms. Um, 12 or 15 black people in the whole room. But you know what I didn't experience when I was in the room? Not one person told me I didn't belong. Not one person told me to go the other way. Not one person. Instead, what happened was I was embraced. We exchanged contact information. They wanted to go to dinner to learn more about me, my family, and my community.
What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about redemption and personal transformation?
That you need money to do it. It doesn't take money. It takes mentality. And when we change our mentality, the money comes. It does.
You
Legally.
know, Dr. Vic, you're making this song so easy. Like you listen to you speak now, and okay, all right, life is going to be different tomorrow. Simply by how you say it, it really sounds easy. But is it that simple?
No, because you didn't get here overnight, right? So let's just say one of the listeners, let's say you're 35 years old. That trauma, those negative thoughts of self, all those negative experiences, that's 35 years packed in. So there's no way that I'm expecting you to wake up tomorrow morning and see the world 100% different and not look back and say, but what I can tell you is similar to what I did is if you put that sticky note on the wall, if you go look at yourself in the mirror every day and tell you this is going to be the best day possible, one day the best day possible will arrive, followed by another and another. Listen, when I started motivational speaking, I couldn't get people to let me even talk to a football team, right? Couldn't get them to let me in a classroom. I have family to tell me, don't quit your day job, right? And I remember praying to God and saying, I really want to make an impact with my people, with my community, because we're not victims, we're victors, every single one of us. And I need help getting there. And I began to step out, going into a community that didn't look like me, going into rooms that didn't look like me. They said, and I would tell people, I'm a motivational speaker. And, are you really? And guess where my opportunities started to come from? Guess who started to let me talk to their football teams, their basketball teams, their classrooms, and eventually whole school districts? So we got to stop looking at it as somebody is against us. The only person that's against you is you and your mentality. One no today just means there's another yes tomorrow somewhere waiting on you. You've got to keep going. Now my phone rings with opportunity because I didn't give up. And I don't take the opportunities for granted when my phone rings, because guess what? Just as fast as his phone has started ringing, it can stop.
I'll let the audience know as well, as huge and as popular as Dr. V is, he answers his phone himself and he responds to you himself. He's going to tell you, give me a couple minutes or give me a couple days. I'm just busy right now, but I am going to respond. And this is something I really admire about this man. He is probably traveling every day. He's really busy, but he finds that time to communicate personally. And I really, really appreciated that.
Because
You know,
everyone matters to me, you know,
right.
and I know what it feels like to be on the other end where you don't feel like you matter. So when people text my text line, as you just said, I didn't know who you were reaching out, but we
Correct.
engaged, we started going back and forth. And while I'm having the text conversation with you, I got two moms over here asking for guidance for their sons or daughters. And then I got this person saying, hey, are you available to speak on this day? I respond to each message because everyone is important. We are all important. And like you said, it may take me a few, I may have to say, hey, give me a couple of days to get back to you,
Yes.
but I make it a priority to get back to people because I know what it felt like to sit on the other side. I used to ask speakers, man, let me open up for you. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. And people would just blow you off and push you to the side. And I realized that I didn't want to be that person. When somebody engages my inbox, when someone engages, I respond. As long as it's respectful. I don't do foolishness, but if it's respectful, I respond.
Right.
I try to engage with the comments as much as possible. I had a couple videos go viral, so it's hard to engage with that many comments, but I try to engage with the people. Will it always be that way? I don't know. We don't know what tomorrow holds. Tomorrow, Dr. V could be so big where he has 3 million followers and there's no way I can respond to everyone. But what I will tell you is I will always remain as human as possible, and I will always engage respectfully with anyone who has ever supported me. And guess what? Even those who don't.
I just want to go back a bit before I go forward. You identified that you had enough and you wanted to make that difference in your life. You wanted to change the path of what you are on and shift that trajectory. But you became a motivational speaker, you did your PhD, but did you had a clear vision, or was it I just wanted to leave this path? Did you had a clear vision of where you wanted to be in the next 5, 10, or 15 years?
I've had a clear vision of what I wanted for my life since I was a young boy.
Okay.
Since I was a young boy, 1988, if I remember the date correctly, the year correctly, Michael Jackson released Man in the Mirror. It was my favorite song and still is my favorite song to this day. So even as a young boy walking around with a victim's mentality, there was a song that I heard. It was an icon that I seen in the video. It said, I want to be like him. I want to go out and empower the world just like him. And while my path was rocky and I went a different way, and right, I got back to where it is I desired to be, and that's empowering people. That's what Michael Jackson did for me in 1988, and that's what Barack Obama did for me in 2008, and that's what I hope to do for somebody each day that I go forward, trying to empower people, all people.
Wow. What a conversation. And if this episode doesn't inspire you to challenge your own limitations and step boldly into transformation, I don't know what will. Dr. V, your journey from a path of destruction to a life of purpose, mentorship, and empowerment is proof that no matter where you start, you can redefine your own story, man. I appreciate your wisdom, your energy, and the raw truth you brought to the path of the audacious rebel today. Before we wrap up, let the people know where can they find you and how can they connect with you, support your work, or bring you to speaking.
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, I'm most engaged on social media, even though I don't like to post. That's where you'll find me at. So you can go at Dr. V the Speaker. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can text me personally, and yes, it's me. I respond to each one.
Yes, it is. It is him.
419-909-6196. You can text a question, you can text encouragement, because encouragement goes a long way, right? If you're pouring out to so many people, sometimes you need somebody to pour into you. So you can text me personally, 419-909-6196, or you can find me at www.drvthespeaker.com. Send a message. Someone on my team will respond to it. If it's personally for me, they send it to me so I can respond to it. But I'm engaged in every aspect of what it is Dr. V is doing, because I'm Dr. V.
Yes, you are. And of course, I'm going to put all those links at the bottom of the description of this video, so you all would be able to find it very easily. Listen, family, this episode was a masterclass in transformation, but knowledge without action means nothing. So if Dr. V's message hit you today, drop a comment below. Let us know your biggest takeaway, and don't just keep the wisdom to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And you already know the drill. If you're rocking with the path of the Audacious Rebel, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you would never miss another episode. We're just getting started, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Dr. V, much respect. Thank you for being on the path of the Audacious Rebel. And may you continue being blessed and guided in all that you do. Have a great one.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Same to you, man.
Audacious Rebel.